All right, let's just dive right in. Today, we're wading into some pretty deep water. We're talking about suffering, forgiveness, and this huge idea of grace. Three of the toughest things we deal with, you know? How do you get through profound hurt without letting it just completely break you? The ideas we're digging into today offer a really powerful way to think about it all. And we're going to start with this really powerful quote from, of all people, Jim Carrey. He says that suffering isn't the end of the story. Instead, he sees it as this critical fork in the road. It's a moment where you have to make a choice. So it's not about trying to avoid pain, but about what you decide to do with it once it arrives. And that really is the first key idea here, this image of suffering as a crossroads. The framework we're exploring says that when we experience real pain and loss, we're not just victims of it. We are actually standing at a major junction in our lives, and we have a fundamental choice to make. Now, what's so important here is the emphasis on not skipping the first step. You can't just tough it out or pretend it didn't happen. The idea is you have to actually feel it. You have to acknowledge the pain, accept the loss for what it is, because it's only from that really honest place that you can make a clear-headed decision about which way you're going to go. So, you're at this crossroads. What are the options? Well, the source material lays them out as two very distinct paths, like walking through one of two gates after you've been hurt. And here they are laid out side by side. On one side, you've got the gate of resentment. This path leads to wanting revenge, and as the source says, it ultimately ends up harming not just other people, but you too. But on the other side, you have the gate of forgiveness. And this isn't presented as some passive, weak thing. No, it's a conscious, powerful decision that leads you toward grace. And to make this feel really personal, the material basically asks you to look in the mirror and answer these questions for yourself. Are you going to hang on to that grudge, or are you going to release it? Are you going to keep replaying the offense in your mind, feeding the pain, or are you going to starve it? It brings this whole idea out of the clouds and right down into our everyday lives. But let's be real for a second. Why would you choose forgiveness, especially when the hurt is so deep? It can feel completely illogical, maybe even like you're letting them win. To explain the why, the source turns to this incredible parable that reframes the whole idea. It's not about emotion, it's about logic. And here it is. This is the big mind shift. The logic of forgiveness isn't based on the person who wronged you. It's not about whether they said sorry or if they deserve it. The whole principle is to base your decision to forgive on the massive forgiveness you've already received. See how that flips the script? It takes the focus off of them and puts it back on you. So to make this point, the parable starts with a servant who owes his boss 10,000 talents. Now, we have to stop and really get our heads around this number. This isn't like you're behind on your car payment. A talent was a huge amount of money. 10,000 of them? It's an astronomical, literally unpayable debt. We're talking millions, maybe billions of dollars in today's money. It's a debt he could work his entire life and his children's lives and never, ever pay back. Okay, now contrast that with the second debt in the story. Another servant owes that first guy 100 denarii. Now, that's not nothing. It's about 3 months of wages, so you'd feel it. But compared to the billions of dollars the first servant owed, it's pocket change. It's a manageable amount. It could actually be paid back. So here's how it all plays out. The master feels pity for the first servant and, poof, he cancels the entire unpayable debt. Just wipes the slate clean. It's a staggering act of mercy. So what does this guy do? The one who was just saved? He immediately walks out, finds the guy who owes him a few $100, grabs him by the throat, and has him thrown into prison over it. The hypocrisy is just, it's breathtaking. And of course, when the master finds out, his mercy turns into absolute fury. And this question from the master, this is the entire point of the story. It just cuts right to the heart of the logic. After being forgiven an impossible, life-crushing debt, how could you possibly turn around and refuse to forgive such a tiny one in comparison? It's a really powerful challenge to our own sense of perspective. But this brings up a huge objection, probably the one that's been bubbling up in your mind this whole time. And the source material tackles it head on. This gut feeling that forgiveness just isn't fair. And that's it, isn't it? That's the feeling. Wait a minute. You want me to just let them off the hook for what they did? That's not fair. They're getting away with it. And the source acknowledges this. And you know what? It agrees. You're right. It's not fair. And here's where everything pivots. The argument is that we're asking the wrong question. This whole thing was never about fairness. It's about grace. And grace, by its very definition, is unfair. It is unearned, unmerited generosity. It's getting a gift you absolutely did not earn and do not deserve. To help us wrap our minds around this kind of unfair generosity, the material points to another parable. Picture a vineyard owner. He hires a crew at 6 in the morning and promises them a full day's wage. Fair enough. But then he hires more people at 9, more at noon, more at 3. And then, get this, he hires a final group at 5 o'clock in the evening. They work for 1 hour. And when 6 o'clock rolls around, he pays every single worker the exact same full day's wage. So naturally, the guys who worked all day in the hot sun are furious. It's not fair. I mean, you would be too, right? But the owner's response is so powerful. He asks them, "Am I not allowed to do what I want with my own money? Or are you angry because I am generous?" He's challenging that instinct in us that gets mad when someone else receives a gift we don't think they earn. Okay, let's tie all of this together now. The argument we're exploring is that when we demand fairness, when we hang on to our grudges because it's the just thing to do, we think we're holding on to our rights, but we might actually be building our own prison. The source uses this really visceral, intense image to drive the point home. Think about it. When your hands are metaphorically gripped around the throat of the person who wronged you, when all your energy is focused on that anger and resentment, then your hands aren't open. They literally cannot receive anything else. You are physically blocking yourself from being able to accept the very grace you need. And this brings us to the final, crucial takeaway. Holding on to that grudge doesn't trap the other person, it traps you. You are the one carrying that heavy weight every day. You're the one replaying the offense, feeding the pain. In this light, forgiveness isn't about letting them go free. It's about setting yourself free. And that leaves us with this one last profound question. Because the source suggests you can't really have both. If you demand strict fairness for others, you might just get strict fairness for yourself. So what do you truly want? Do you want a world based on what's fair, on getting exactly what you deserve? Or do you want a world of unmerited, unbelievable grace? That's the choice we're all left to think about.